Hello everyone, this is Anitra, Sleepy Stamper with the Papercraft Star, and today I'm going to share with you a tutorial on making stick pins. Now there are a lot of stick pin tutorials out there, but this is just an easy video I'm showing just to get you started. Now these are some of the stick pins I've made here, and some of them have charms on them, like this one has a little hand, and there are others I made just using paper. So to get started, you'll need I use a corsage pins. Now they do come in different styles. I tend to use this corsage pin. This is a Hobby Lobby brand, I believe. But I did find other corsage pins that have, say, crystals on the top. And I do know that Maya Road, or sometimes you're able to buy them on eBay, a longer stick pin with a decorative pearl on the top. Now these are quite long. As you can see, they're about 3 inches that you can add beads onto, not including the top. So there are those, but for this tutorial I'm just going to use a regular corsage pin, like I said, I purchased from Hobby Lobby. So to get started, you'll need some beads, and I've chosen my beads I'm going to use here, and an adhesive. Now the adhesive I found that works best when making stick pins is this E6000. Comes usually in a package like this, and it's a really strong adhesive. I have, though, in the past have used Stampin' Up's Crystal Effects. However, I did find that the more I handled the stick pin, it kind of broke the adhesive and the beads would just slip down the pin. So this is one that I really recommend, this E6000, when you're adding beads. So for this stick pin, I think I'm going to start with a bead cap. And a bead cap is just a filigree top. Oops. I don't know if I could find one. I think I may have used one of my last ones. Okay, we'll just go with this brass one then. So this is a bead cap. It's kind of just like a rounded decorative, usually metal. Let's see if it focuses in on that. There it is. And it just sits on top of the bead. So to adhere it, I'm going to take some E6000, and I've already just dabbed some on my work paper here. I'm just going to add some of the adhesive onto the pin, onto the metal part of the pin, and then I'm going to add my bead cap. Started with that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put more adhesive onto the actual pin part. And then I'm going to add my bead. And I've chosen this crystal bead just because I like the look of that. So there's that one. So that's how it's looking so far. And then I want to use a spacer. Now a spacer is just a thin little bead. It's not really even a bead, it's more like, they come in metallic or crystal, and I'm going to use this silver beaded spacer. Again, I'm adding more adhesive onto the pin. I'm going to slide the spacer bead on there just to separate. Oh, I just lost it. Do it again. Just to separate one bead from another. There, I add it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just real. There's that one. And then I'm going to add my final bead onto the bottom. And I've chosen just a simple round bead. Put it to the bead hole here. Right there. And that's what my stick pin's gonna look like. See if I can get it to focus a little better. There we are. So I just set this aside to let it dry. And once the adhesive fully dries, it'll be pretty durable. I mean, you can handle them. These I've made, I don't know, a few days ago, and they're pretty good. They're not gonna move. The beads are not gonna slide up and down. The stick pin, they're on there pretty well. Another thing I'd like to show you is, I don't always like having this pearl at the top. I know some people color them, but sometimes I just do not like that. So what I tend to do is I will take the stick pin with the pearl top like this, and using a pair of pliers, and there's nothing special about these pliers, it just has like a wire cutter in here, I just snap the top off. You kind of want to cover it though so it doesn't fly up anywhere. And I just take them off like I've done this one, and it has a little bit of like residue on the top, but I'm really not worried about that. So I will take something like this and I will just add a bead to it. Get one of these to the top. I did notice though that it doesn't really fit on here very well. It's really loose. So what I do is I take a piece of, what is this called? Score tape. And it's like a tiny piece just to wrap around the head of the pin. Taking that score tape. Let me take the backing off. And I will just wrap that around. Just like that. And that makes it a little thicker and makes my bead sit on there a lot more snug. You see, so already that bead is not going to move. It's pretty good on there. It's pretty set on there like it is. But just to keep it, to make sure it's going to stay, I will add some E6000 to the pin itself and the bottom of the bead. And for this stick pin, I'll do one of this spacer beads. So it sits kind of like that. And then I'll just finish it off with, say, a round bead on the bottom. Again, adding some more adhesive. And then adding my round bead. So that's just another way you can make a stick pin where it doesn't have, say, the pearl top to it if that's not what you like. So there's that one. And on this one I did add a charm. I just took a piece of chain and slid it on there first, and then using an O-ring I attached this charm so that it dangles. So that's just another option. And there's different charms. I think the smaller charms tend to work better because it is just a pin after all. So there's that. And this one was made with paper. I just made a simple pinwheel and then adhered it on there. Now another idea you might choose to use is adding cabochons back to back. That makes a nice pin, decorative pin. And here I have some Webster's Pages cabochons. And using the E6000 again, because this is really industrial glue, it holds very well. I'll just sandwich it between the two cabochons. Put a generous amount on here. And that could be another stick pin. Once that dries, that's going to stick on there very well. And then you have a nicely decorated stick pin. Simple, and it's up to you what type of cabochon you want to use. But I do want you to think, or encourage you to think beyond the bead. On this stick pin here, this is one of the long green ones that I took off the pearls at the top. I just stuck it through this felt flower, just like that. And then I would use, on this particular pin, I would probably use a adhesive called Fabric Tack, because that bonds very well also. And for the bead, I would add on here just to give it a little bit more sparkle, make it a little bit more interesting. I'll add one of these disco ball beads. Find the hole where this goes. There it is. Just like that. And then probably finish it off with a simple white bead. I think that looks cute, kind of gives it a shabby chic look. Again, adding some more E6000 to the pin. And there it is. And that would look great in, say, like a shabby chic layout, sticking out. In some ways you can use your pins on cards. That one I've used a stick pin just on this thank you card, just to get it out of the little sparkle. And I've also used them to embellish pin cushions. On this one I've used a Webster's Page pin cushion, Webster's Page stick pin, along with one that I've made. On this particular stick pin I did use a smaller corsage pin, so this one's quite short, but it worked perfectly with this little pin cushion. So those are just some ways you can use stick pins and different ways you can make them. I hope you'll give this one a try, and I'd love to see you at Papercraft Star. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.